Here's the true story of how I went from never knowing for certain whether or not a hostess was even going to hold the home party she booked with me to going 7 years in a row without a single cancellation and only one postponement. Oh, and that postponement came from a hostess who called me a week before her party to let me know about a family emergency that would prevent her from holding her party on the date we had scheduled. That hostess then rescheduled and held her party on that date. Hi, my name is Tammy Stanley, and a few years ago, a director of training with a large and very well-known direct sales company told me, Tammy, I've been in this industry over 30 years, and I've never heard the ideas that you share in your program about stopping postponements. I don't say this to brag. I say it because I want to be 100% transparent about my goals for you during this presentation. I want you to have a home party business that actually makes money. I want you to have hostesses that you can count on to hold their party on the original date that they booked it. I want this business to truly be rewarding and fun for you. Now, if you started a home party business as nothing more than a hobby, and all you want is to get your company's products at a discount and nothing more, there's nothing wrong with that. If you love a certain company's products and you purchase a considerable amount of them, why not get them at a discount? That's just not what this presentation is about. On the other hand, if your goal is to have a home party business that generates income that you can count on month after month, and hostesses that you can count on booking after booking, well, then you finally found your home. In this presentation, I'm going to show you why the guests at home parties often say that they'll book a party, but then fail to do that, and why they are sometimes rude to you when you try to follow up and get that booking in your calendar. I'm even going to show you why most of the hostesses that postpone or cancel their home party wait until a day or two before the actual party to cancel, and how you can easily prevent that from occurring and increase the number of guests that will attend at the same time. So let's dive in. A little over 20 years ago, I started a direct sales business out of my home, and the company I represented had a $550 average home presentation. Remember, that was more than 20 years ago. Even by today's standards, a company with an average home party of $550 is doing all right. Your company's home party average may be less than 550, and it may even be considerably more than 550. But whether it's common for you to sell 300 at a home party or $1,000, the key point is that you truly can earn decent part-time income selling products at home parties. No doubt this is one reason you got started in this industry. You probably saw the income opportunity presented at either an opportunity meeting or during a meeting with the person who sponsored you into the business. You probably saw a way that you could pay for things that you either needed or wanted. For example, if you needed to pay a car loan for $300 on the 7th of every month, well, you could simply schedule a couple of home parties before the 7th in order to earn enough money to pay that bill. It all sounds great, and it is great, until one of the hostesses postpones her scheduled home party. One of the most frustrating things in the home party business is going through the effort of getting a home party scheduled only to experience the disappointment of it being postponed or canceled. If that isn't bad enough, most hostesses don't give you the bad news until a day before or the day of the scheduled party. That gives you little to no time to schedule someone else's party on that date. To add lemon juice to the wound, your hostesses often go completely out of communication after postponing their home party. So you not only lose the party, but a customer as well. And not any customer, but one that was willing to expand your business by hosting a party. And quite probably a customer that you envisioned as a possible future direct seller on your team. So just to be clear, I'm not saying that going 7 years in a row without a single cancellation and having only one postponement is at all typical or normal in this industry. So, what did I do that was so abnormal? What did I do that allowed me to achieve such atypical results? Well, actually, there are 10 specific things that I did differently when I booked a hostess and coached her. And I'll cover three biggies during this presentation. Number one, I look to cure the cause and not the symptom. When I was in the field, I was taught that the only way to deal with the problem of postponements was to overbook. And indeed, direct sellers repeatedly hear that the way to deal with the problem of postponements is to overbook. In other words, if you want to hold 8 parties every month, you need to book 10 or perhaps even 12. But overbooking is not a solution to postponements and cancellations because it does not prevent them. Statistically speaking, if you book 12 parties to end up with 8 that hold, you would be 67% effective at booking hostesses that hold their originally scheduled home party. When were you ever happy to get a 67% on a test? And yet, that is what is normal for most direct sellers. No wonder direct sellers get frustrated. So again, I'm not saying that you should expect to automatically duplicate my results. Imagine having a neighbor who doesn't know how to clean his swimming pool. After a while, the water would get really murky, and then mosquitoes would infest it. Then the health department would come in. Well, what would be the best method for the health department? To tell your neighbor to give everybody in the neighborhood a can of mosquito repellent? Or to teach your neighbor how to clean his pool? Clearly, giving everybody mosquito repellent only treats the symptom, but not the cause. The only way to cure the real problem is to get to the cause. Likewise, overbooking treats the symptom, but not the cause. The only way to stop postponements and cancellations is to get to the root cause and then treat that. One spring season, when I was in the field as a direct seller and a manager of a large direct sales team, I received phone call after phone call from disappointed direct sellers within my sales team. What was the cause of all this disappointment? Postponements. Even one of my favorite consultants ended up quitting because of all the postponements she had that season. Now see, I'm someone who believes that it never serves you to see yourself as a victim, or to believe that there's nothing you can do about a situation like that other than keep a positive attitude. Of course, I believe it's beneficial to remain positive, but I also believe that being positive means refusing to accept failure and to know that for every problem, there is a solution. That's why I was willing to hire a psychotherapist at $200 an hour to help me understand why it is that people book parties only to postpone and then cancel them. I was completely committed to finding a solution to get to the cause and stop postponements. And now I'm going to share with you what I paid $200 to learn. No one, yet no one wants to be thought of as someone who does not keep her commitments. Yup, that's what I learned for $200. Ah, but you see, after I learned that, I was able to see how every time a guest at a home party tells you that she wants to book a party and then never ends up doing that, and every time a potential hostess postpones or cancels her home party, in each of those situations, that individual does fail to keep her commitment. And once that happens, the direct seller would no longer think of that individual as someone who keeps her commitments, which would most likely make that guest or that hostess feel very uneasy. Okay, perk up because this is huge. Anytime that uneasiness develops between a potential hostess or a hostess and you, that potential hostess or that hostess is highly likely to postpone or cancel the home party that she has booked with you. This really is a biggie. Number 2, I realized I needed to make keeping a commitment easy. To show you more what I mean by this, let's just go ahead and look at perhaps an all too familiar incident. Imagine yourself at one of your home parties and you watch as one of the guests falls in love with your products and begins telling you how she wants to host a home party. But as soon as you suggest selecting a date in your calendar, oh, it's like she suddenly copped an attitude and she says, no, first I want to talk to my friends and then I'll call you. Does she call you? No, you wait around for a week and then another week, but she never calls. Finally, you decide that you will call her, but you feel a bit apprehensive about doing so. Why? Well, after all, she did say that she would call you. What convinces you to pick up that phone, however, is that you remember how much enthusiasm she showed not only for your products, but for you as well. She seemed to really like you. So you take a deep breath. You pick up that phone to call her. When she answers, you enthusiastically say something like, "Hi, Arlene, this is Tammy Stanley with the ABC Company." Her response, "Mm-hmm." Yeah, instead of connecting with the "Miss, I love you" in your products from that home party, it's as if somehow you're now talking with a Miss, "Why are you bothering me?" Right now, I want to take you behind the scenes so that you see what transpired to transmute this potential hostess from "Miss, I love you" in your products at that home party to the "Miss, why are you bothering me" a week or two later. What happens is that your potential hostess keeps forgetting to talk to her friends about hosting a home party when she sees them. And every time that she forgets to do that, that little critic inside her head says, "Hey, I thought you were going to talk to your friends about hosting an ABC party. Why do you keep forgetting? You need to do that. You said you would do that. I mean, you shouldn't have told that person that you were going to do that if you're not going to do that." Oh, now remember how I told you that it's the uneasiness that develops between you and a potential hostess that ultimately causes postponements and cancellations? Well, look at the uneasiness this potential hostess feels. She feels very uneasy about telling you that she would do something now that she has failed to do it. Listen, there is something that all of us humans have in common. We all love looking good, and we will do just about anything to preserve how good we look to others. Oh, remember what I told you that I learned during that $200 phone call with the psychotherapist? I'll go ahead and repeat it. No one wants to be thought of as someone who doesn't keep her commitments. Well, expecting a potential hostess to gather up all her friends, find a suitable date for everyone, and call you back is more responsibility than she can handle. And as you saw from the scenario I described, because she failed to follow through with that, she ended up failing at keeping her first commitment, her commitment that she would talk to her friends, find a date that worked for everyone, and call you back. Indeed, that little voice inside her head ended up making her feel sorry that she ever said she would talk to her friends and book a party. Oh dear, did you hear that? Oh, unfortunately, that is the thought that gets stuck in her head. I'm sorry I ever said I would book a party. Not exactly the kind of thinking that gets someone to be their word and book and hold a home party. What I want you to understand is that she only feels that way because she failed to keep a commitment. You see,
Here's the way it is for most humans. As soon as someone sees us not looking good in any given situation, it makes us feel really uneasy. How that person witnessed us failing to be our word, how that person witnessed us failing to keep a commitment. Well, your potential hostess is a human. And so she feels very uneasy and embarrassed that she failed to keep her first commitment of talking to her friends, finding a suitable date for everyone, and calling you back. She doesn't like it that you've seen her look less than stellar. Well, once a potential hostess senses that she looks less than stellar to you, she'll feel so uncomfortable about it that she'll look for ways to end this relationship by blaming you and making you wrong. How does she do that? Oh, well, I bet you already know because you've probably already experienced it. She treats you as if you are a pushy salesperson. Here's what I want you to understand. She only does that so she can justify to herself and anyone else her failure to keep her commitment of holding that home party. Okay, by now you're probably beginning to understand why so many customers have told you that they would book a party, but then never end up actually doing so. Now, remember how I learned that no one wants to be thought of as someone who doesn't keep her commitments? Oh, if that's true, and I would submit that it is, then it stands to reason that your job as a direct seller is to do everything possible to assist your hostesses to keep their original commitment. How can you achieve that? First and foremost, you need to make it as easy as possible for a hostess to keep her commitment. The more responsibility you place in a hostess's lap, the more likely she is to fail. It's critically important for you to do everything possible to assist your hostesses to feel like they will be successful at keeping their commitment of hosting a party. When I started making it easy for my hostesses to keep their commitment and to feel like they would be successful at keeping their commitment, well, you know what? It worked. Number 3, I created a paradigm shift instead of resistance. A great coach or a great salesperson causes a paradigm shift. In other words, they help you to see something that you've never seen before so that you let go of anything that was ineffective and thus experience success. A great coach or a great salesperson does not create resistance. Let me explain. It's just natural for prospects to resist salespeople. Think of when you go into a store and the salesperson says, "Can I help you with something?" Most people respond by saying, "I'm just looking." Why? Well, that's their way of expressing resistance. And in that resistance, they are communicating that they don't want to be sold to. One of the things that prospects expect salespeople to do is to argue with them if they give the salesperson any variation of the word no. When a guest at a home party says, "I want to talk to my friends first," she'll often use a very firm tone to communicate, "I'm not going to book right now, no matter what you say." If you begin with something that sounds like a rebuttal, you risk creating resistance. You never want resistance to develop between you and a potential hostess. If you get someone to book while she still feels some resistance, within a day, an hour, or even within a few minutes, she'll be inclined to make up a story in her head about you and how you made her book when she wasn't ready. How effective do you think that is in conditioning someone to follow through and actually hold her booking with you? Yeah, not very. However, by creating a paradigm shift, by helping a prospect to see something that she has never thought of before, you create a shift in her consciousness instead of creating resistance. which ultimately prevents any uneasiness from developing between you and your new potential hostess, and thus prevents your hostess from feeling like she will be unsuccessful at keeping her commitment. You always want your hostesses to feel like they can and will be successful at keeping their commitment. If they feel like they can be successful, it's far more likely that they will be successful. One day, I received a phone call from someone I'd known for many years. Both of us had a long career in direct sales. As it turned out, she was starting up with a new direct sales company, and of course, she wanted me to book a show for her. She did the usual thing of sending me an Evite invitation to use and sending me a hostess packet in the mail. But she gave me no coaching, so there was nothing that helped me to feel like I could get those people to attend. And her calling and leaving me messages to inquire how many guests I had attending so far didn't feel like coaching. It felt like nagging. In addition to feeling irritated with her, I got caught up in what was going on in my own life. I remember that my home party with her was booked just a couple weeks after Thanksgiving. The week after Thanksgiving, our family went on a hiking trip down the Grand Canyon. When we came back from that camping trip on a Sunday night, I looked at my calendar for the week and noticed, oh, that show I booked with my friend was just 3 days away. And I had only personally invited one friend thus far. Do you suppose that ever happens to some of your hostesses? I bet it does. Which is why your potential hostesses look at their calendars and realize that the home party they booked with you is just a week or less than a week away, and that they haven't invited enough people for the show to be successful, so they need to postpone it. But your hostesses don't want to call and give you that bad news. No, it's so embarrassing. They tell themselves, I had better cancel this party. I need to call that person. Oh, I'll do it. I'll just do it later. So instead of calling right away, they wait to call because they don't want to tell you how they failed to keep a commitment. And let's not forget, they're going to look bad once they tell you that they won't be holding their home party after all. But humans don't like to look bad, which is why your hostesses wait and wait and wait until the last minute to postpone or cancel. They put it off until they can't put it off any longer because they're so embarrassed to admit that they failed. That's just human behavior. Let me ask you something. About how much notice do you think most people believe you need to invite someone to something? When I ask this at live workshops, the most common response I hear is 2 weeks. Considering how busy people are always claiming to be these days, do you really think the majority of people are organized enough to have invited everyone to their home party 2 weeks ahead of time? And even if they are that organized, giving people plenty of notice does not ensure the success of guest attendance. The proof of this? Well, every once in a while you have a hostess that's totally on top of things and has everyone invited a couple weeks ahead. And she even has 15 guests confirmed. But then, on the night of the home party, only one guest shows up. Why? Well, do you want to know a secret? Actually, you want to know 2 secrets? Secret number 1. Attending a home party is not a high priority in any person's calendar. It's true that some of the invited guests may feel obligated to the hostess, but that is seldom a reason that actually convinces the invited guests to leave the comfort of their own home and head on over to their friend's house to spend money at a home product party. So, what can you do to help your hostesses feel confident that they can have enough people attend their home party? And to not give up when they look at their calendar and see that the party they booked with you is a week or even less than a week away?
I promise, it has nothing to do with calling your hostesses several times to see how their guest list is coming along. And it has nothing to do with taking the time to help your hostesses brainstorm on all the people they know that they could invite. And it truly has nothing to do with getting your hostesses to think of tons of people. Secret number 2. The best way to have hostesses that continue inviting people, whether their party is 2 weeks away, 2 days away, or 2 hours away, is to create paradigm shifts that inspire them to do exactly that, to continue inviting people until their party is about to begin. That insight completely revolutionized the way I coached hostesses to invite people to their home party. And it dramatically increased the number of guests at those home parties as well. Here's why. One of the keys to keeping your hostesses committed to hosting their home party is to prevent any fear they might have that they won't have enough guests to make it successful. Here's what happens to some of your hostesses. First, they think they have plenty of time, so they put off inviting people just yet. Then they get caught up with their lives. And then, before they know it, their party is less than a week away. And of course, they feel like it's too late to invite people if they have not been coached otherwise. Now, there are a number of other very important concepts that I don't have time to share with you right now, but I bet you are beginning to understand more than you ever have before why hostess coaching is critical to you, to your hostesses, and to your business. And now do you see why so many direct sellers struggle with postponements and cancellations? They're treating the symptom and not the cause. They think the solution to postponements is overbooking. And worst of all, they think that hostess coaching is all about the guest list. That hostess coaching is about telling hostesses to invite tons of people, and telling hostesses they know more people than they realize, and telling hostesses that if they want 10 guests, they need to invite 30. But hostess coaching is not about building a big guest list. Hostess coaching is about creating paradigm shifts that strengthen the trust between your hostesses and you. Hostess coaching is about creating paradigm shifts that help your hostesses understand on an entirely new level the people they could invite and how. Paradigm shifts that help the hostesses to feel like they can be successful, even if they've never been successful at getting their friends to attend their home parties in the past. Ultimately, hostess coaching is about creating a real partnership between your hostess and you through complete transparency and authenticity. And getting potential hostesses to schedule a booking, to hold that booking on the original booking date, to invite the right people that will make her event truly successful is so much more difficult if you don't know exactly what to say to create a mutual feeling of true partnership between your hostess and you. And this is why so many direct sellers manage to get their business off the ground, only to experience gridlock after a few seasons of being in business. They get stuck because they skip the most critical step. They skip real coaching. Coaching that creates paradigm shifts and true partnership with their potential hostesses. Maybe even you've been stuck. Maybe you have worked with potential hostesses without first establishing profound trust through authentic communication and real coaching. But it's not your fault, really. See, the reality is that most of the information that's out there about hostess coaching is taught by well-intentioned former direct sellers that never noticed or worried if they sounded pushy as long as they had a full calendar. They never concern themselves about postponements and cancellations.
as long as they had overbooked their calendar to compensate for those postponements and cancellations. They didn't realize the impact that postponements and cancellations had not only on their hostesses, but also on this entire industry. You see, those direct sellers didn't realize that every time a potential hostess fails to keep her commitment, that she will book a party, and every time a hostess postpones a party, and every time a hostess cancels a party, and every time a hostess has low sales because only one guest shows up, it impacts our industry. Because those potential hostesses and those hostesses often end up feeling like failures at hosting home parties. And because of that, they come to the conclusion that they don't do home parties. Aren't you tired of the way some people act as if it's beneath them to host a home party or to start a home party business? Those thoughts and those beliefs about our industry stem from people who attended unsuccessful home parties where there was low guest attendance. And because of that, they felt awkward and obligated to purchase something. The direct sellers at those home parties simply didn't understand how to avoid creating resistance, how to replace old salesman tactics that feel salesy and pushy with true grace and authentic gratitude, which result in a salesperson being enjoyably passionate and persuasive. Those thoughts and those beliefs about our industry usually stem from people who hosted home parties that were unsuccessful because the direct sellers that booked them didn't understand how to coach those hostesses effectively. Those direct sellers simply didn't understand how to coach and create paradigm shifts that result in building real trust, true partnership, and impressive results. If your focus has been on that guest list, if you've been coaching without creating paradigm shifts, again, it's not your fault. As a direct seller, you want all of your potential hostesses to end up being successful hostesses because that is what keeps your business active and strong. And it's also what keeps the entire direct selling industry alive and healthy. I want you to experience that kind of success. I want to show you how you can build an incredibly rewarding and profitable home party business, a sales business that empowers you as much as it empowers your hostesses and the guests at their parties. And that's why I created the only course available to direct sellers that covers exactly what real coaching consists of and how to get to the actual cause and truly stop postponements. The coaching that makes it easy for hostesses to improve guest attendance and get the right people to attend, thus making it natural for you to quickly increase your profits. This is the only course that dives deep into the psychology of the home party business, why potential hostesses do what they do, and exactly how you can make all the difference in your business. This is the only program that shows you how you can communicate on an entirely new level with your customers, with your potential hostesses, and with your hostesses. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, picture this. A hostess informs you that she needs to cancel her party tomorrow night. But after a minute or two of your real coaching, no nagging, no guilt trips, no aggressive tactics, her consciousness shifts and she decides to hold her home party after all. And that party turns out to be $1,000 party. Consider how a situation like that could quickly turn your business around because of the confidence it would instill in you. Well, you'll learn how and why this exact kind of transformation happens for the direct sellers who use my system and follow my coaching advice. And of course, that's awesome. But turning cancellations into parties that hold is just one way
that I show you how to increase your profits, because this program is truly about powerful communication skills that compel hostesses to not only trust you, but also to want to host successful parties for you again and again, just for being such a genuine and trustworthy salesperson. Of course, there's nothing wrong with only wanting a little home party business that just gives you a good discount on products that you love. But if you want to build a profitable direct selling business that makes your hostesses and customers feel awesome about buying great products from someone they genuinely trust, you've come to the right place. And if you decide to join me by becoming a direct seller that sets aside hostess nagging for creating paradigm shifts through real hostess coaching, here's what's going to happen over the next 28 days. I'm going to show you the most effective way to get bookings at home parties without being salesy or pushy or causing resistance. I'm going to show you what real hostess coaching sounds like so you can see for yourself how real coaching allows you to schedule bookings that you can not only count on holding, but also count on to generate high sales and profits and future bookings. So even if you have less than 2 bookings on your calendar right now, you can literally have 6 to 8 bookings on your calendar by this time next month if you really hustle and implement what I coach you to do. So here's how we'll do it. This course is delivered audibly and is broken up into 4 core modules. Module 1, why direct sellers view hostess coaching as redundant and conclude it is unnecessary and the repercussions of such conclusions. This is going to be an eye-opener for you, most likely. You'll learn exactly how you make it easy for hostesses to keep their commitment so that even leads you get from your company book and hold very successful parties. Now think about that. That's not very common. Usually people who get leads from the company, it doesn't pan out. Well, it's all about learning what you need to do to make it easy for people to keep their commitments. You'll learn how to easily persuade people to book with you at the home party without being salesy, pushy, or aggressive. And here's my hint. You cause them to experience a paradigm shift so that they see the futility in talking to their friends before getting a date in your calendar. In Module 2, I'll show you the first step of hostess coaching that convinces your hostesses that you are unique and a quintessential professional and someone she wants her friends to meet. And just so you know, I believe this is the most critical step of hostess coaching. But amazingly enough, I never heard anyone in all my years of direct selling ever even suggest it. The second thing that I'll be teaching you in Module 2 is how to quickly disappear the most common concern of guests feeling obligated. I'm sure you've even heard this as an objection that people don't want to host a home party because they don't like inviting people over and making them feel obligated. Well, in this step of hostess coaching, you're going to learn what to say that then totally disappears that concern that they have that their guests will feel obligated. Then you'll learn how to ensure your hostesses can easily persuade their friends to attend their home party. I mean, how many times have your hostesses invited several people, but then called you and told you nobody wants to come? This is proof positive that hostesses don't know how to persuade people to come. So it's all in your coaching of what you say to them so that they become somebody who can easily persuade their friends to attend their home party. And you'll learn exactly how to level with your hostesses about the invitation process so that they keep inviting people up until the last minute. And this is a real game changer because when people continue to invite, they get more and more people saying yes. So that even people that they might have invited last week, even if those people end up having something come up at the last minute, or they forget, or they just talk themselves out of it, it doesn't matter because as they continue inviting people up until the last minute, they cause enthusiasm and they create spontaneity, which actually gets people inviting. So you're going to learn what you need to say to level with your hostess so that they do keep doing that.
In Module 3, you'll learn how to get the right guests to show up, guests that will want to buy from you and book with you. No one ever mentions this particular coaching step, and yet it's the very thing that makes it possible for you to have the ideal guests there. And who do you want there? People who can't book from you? No, you want people who will buy from you again and again, and you want the right people at your home party. And in Module 3, you'll learn how you can get the right people to be at that party. You'll learn the coaching that prevents hostesses from feeling discouraged by last-minute guest cancellations, and you'll learn the best tactic to keeping refreshments in the background and your products in the foreground. How many times has this happened to you, that the products become the main event and then you feel like you're just the side event, and in fact worse than that, you feel like you're in the back room in a corner and nobody's coming to look at the products, or they don't care about that it all just becomes about I don't know, socializing and being around the food. That's embarrassing. You don't want that. In this tactic, you're going to learn what you say to your hostesses that keeps you and your products in the foreground and the refreshments in the background. So key. You'll learn the art of seamlessly making recruiting bids so that even people who were sure they never wanted a home party business, they start asking you questions. In Module 4, you'll learn how to inspire hostesses without overwhelming them. And you'll learn the specific step that gets repeat hostesses to expand your business more than ever before. This is really critical because when I was in the field, I started to see that if repeat hostesses weren't coached a specific way, then their business started dying out. Their parties started dying out. In other words, they would maybe have a show this year and maybe it was a great one, and they might have a great one later this year, but by the time they had their third party, their guest attendance started dwindling, or the same guests were showing up and not buying very much. So this is a specific step that gets repeat hostesses to expand your business more than ever before. And when I implemented this step into my hostess coaching, I couldn't believe the impact. It was awesome because my hostesses were able to continually have just one awesome party season after season. And they usually booked for me 2 times a year. So it was great to have hostesses that year after year were able to have successful home parties. And of course, that makes your business expand as well. You'll also learn my turnkey hostess coaching system. Yes, you'll get the exact script I followed to coach all of my hostesses, the exact script that allowed me to go 7 years in a row without a single cancellation. Now, I'm sure you've heard that bookings are the lifeline of your business. Well, the way to keep that lifeline incredibly healthy is to give it plenty of air. And that's exactly what real hostess coaching does. Imagine what your business would be like if you never had to deal with postponements and cancellations. Think of how much easier it would be for you, and how much more fun it would be, and how much more profitable you would be. And how would you feel about all of your hostesses? Wouldn't you feel great about all of them and the respect and consideration that they showed for you? Ultimately, it doesn't matter how many parties you schedule. What matters is how many you hold, and how willing your hostesses are to invite the people that will truly expand your business. Now, the price, I'm sure you're wondering, and actually, I should ask you the same question. What has it been costing you to have hostesses that postpone and cancel their home parties? What have postponements and cancellations been costing you? Let's just say that your average home party is anywhere from $300 to $500, and that your commission percentage is 25%. Your statistics may be different than that, but let's just use that as an example. If that were true, your earnings from each home party would be anywhere from just $75 to $125, and you would miss out on anywhere from $300 to $500 in profits every time 4 parties postponed. That's what it's been costing you every time just 4 parties postpone or cancel. $300 to $500. And it's been costing quite a bit more than that if you have a higher home party average. So let me ask you, Wouldn't it make sense to invest $300 so that you could not only stop postponements and cancellations completely, but you could also start getting those people you've been meeting at home parties to book now instead of telling you that they're going to call you and book after they've talked to all their friends and then you know the drill. They don't ever end up scheduling. Yeah, what about all those bookings that you've never been able to put into your calendar? Wouldn't it make sense to invest $300 so that you could not only stop postponements and cancellations, but you could manage to book all these people that you haven't yet been managed to book? Well, the good news, you're not going to invest $300 for this training, which, even if you did, would truly be more than fair because you could use it then for the rest of your career. But this is actually way, way more affordable than that. In fact, you can have this training course in your hands in the next few minutes for just a one-time payment of $97. So for less than $100 today, you're in, you're getting started, and you're coaching your current hostesses to hold parties that are 2 to 3 times as successful and profitable. And you're effectively getting people booked in your calendar at your home parties. And you're coaching them to hold highly successful parties. It's crazy, but for less than $100, you could literally change the course of your business. After listening to this training course, one of my customers, Lashana, recoached a hostess that was about to postpone for the 3rd time because she only had one guest coming. After that short coaching session, the hostess chose to hold her party. And at that party, Lashana got 5 bookings and 2 people interested in learning more about her business opportunity. So here's what you need to do next. Scroll down and click on the Order Now button. It should be below this presentation on the very same page. Select the payment option you want, download this training program to your computer, and then dive into Module 1 immediately. But actually, it's still going to get a little bit better because I'm going to give you the best guarantee that you've probably ever seen. You can take the entire course, put it to work, take an extra 30 days, so 30 days to listen to the course, even though you could literally do that in just a few hours, and 30 days to implement my action plan. You can then coach or recoach your hostesses, and you can test out my methods to generate parties in your calendar at your home parties. And if, for some reason, you decide that this is not right for you, let me know, and I'll issue you a full refund. You will not be out a single penny. You'll get your entire investment back, no hassle, just your word, and we will refund your money. You might be wondering, why would you do this, Tammy? You're going to lose out big time. Well, I don't believe that. I think that if you're still watching this, you actually get how important this is. I think you grasp how wonderful this business could be if your potential hostesses and your hostesses appreciated you and demonstrated that by treating you with respect and consideration. I think you understand now how hostesses that hold their bookings and host successful home parties are the key to keeping this industry alive and healthy for ages to come. I think you're the kind of direct seller that wants to empower and help others succeed while you succeed at the same time. So, just to recap, you get a 4-module training program, my exact hostess coaching script, you save big by ordering now, you get the best guarantee you've ever seen, you can download the entire training course right away, you get to put it to work, you get an extra month for good measure to implement and test my system, and if at the end of that you aren't satisfied, you get to keep it all and you get your money back. I don't see how it could possibly get any better than that. So again, here's what I want you to do. I want you to scroll down and click on that Order Now button so you can start truly coaching and stop nagging your hostesses today. But do it now, because every day that you wait and you keep doing what you've been doing, you keep your business in the exact same place that it is today. It doesn't matter if you have a great party next week, if you don't know how to maximize the potential results from that party. You can even think that you have a great party next week, and then the day before the party, your hostess could end up telling you that she's going to postpone or cancel it. And you want to be able to show her why and how she can still have a successful home party, just like LaShawna did with her hostess, because she had listened to this program. Every time a hostess postpones, unless there truly is an emergency, the real reason she postpones is because she doesn't have enough guests attending to make that party successful. And if she doesn't feel like she has enough guests attending, it's because she doesn't understand how to get guests to attend. In other words, she wasn't given any real hostess coaching that made a difference and impacted her ability to be successful at stepping into action and to be successful at inviting people and effectively persuading them to attend. At the risk of sounding redundant, the only way to stop postponements and cancellations is through real coaching. I think you do understand how real communication with your customers and hostesses makes a huge difference. And you've watched this entire presentation, so obviously you understand how important training is. And you've seen with your own eyes how much money you're missing out on by curing the symptom of postponements and cancellations instead of the cause. So take advantage of this offer while it's still available, and let's get you started. And the sooner you start, the sooner you'll experience how fun and rewarding it is to deliver real hostess coaching. So let's get you coaching and empowering your hostesses to be the best that they can be so that you can completely eliminate postponements and cancellations from your business while improving the number of guests that attend your home parties and increasing your profits considerably. It's possible. It can be done. I know it can because I did it, and I've helped my customers to do it, and I know I can help you to do it as well. So go ahead, download this training program, get started today, and I look forward to working with you.